Hello everyone, we are Group P from Computer Science and Technology degree program, and I am Tirani Priyankika, CST 20089. Our project is Travel Planner. So this is the very first page in our system. This is the login page. By entering the correct email and password, you prove your identity and gain access to your account. Ensuring that only authorized users can access sensitive information within an application is an essential security measure. Let's see now enter email and incorrect password. So we can see this incorrect message. And then if we forgot the password, we can use forgot password option and we can create new password. Successful created, we can see successful message. And then we can log into the system with our new password. Also, this data that means new password save our database. This is change. Next, let's see how an admin logs into the system. For this, I created admin table. Admin go to the then admin log into the system. Admin go to the admin panel. Then logout option, admin can log out, sign out. After that, clicking on the register button will take you to the registration page. On the registration page, you will be asked to provide certain personal information. This includes your first name, last name, email address, password, address, and contact number. After the user is registered, uh, user will be sent redirect login page and then log into the system. We can see registered user information from our user database in user table like this. So now explain my code. The Login form collect the user information and this form data is sent to the login JSP page. And then I use some script part. So after user created new password, user can see successful message. Let's see login JSP page. I created DB connector class. Here our database URL, database username, password and driver name. Like this. When users submit the login form, get email address, password and user ID as string data type. Here I use MD5 class. MD5. This can be used to hash password before storing them in a database. It's used for basic security purposes. Then two SQL queries are defined. This query to select data from the admin table based on provided email. And this query select data from the user table based on the provided email. Inside the try block connection to the database. This prepared statement is created for the first query. And email parameter is set as the parameter in the query. The query is executed using PSTMT execute query and the result are processed in a loop using RS next. The hash admin password is compared with the hash password provided by user. If they match, the user is an admin. Here I created cookies. Cookies are small pieces of data stored on the user's browser that can be accessed by the server to maintain session information. If the admin's password matches, the server redirects the user to the admin panel JSP page. If the admin password doesn't match, the user is redirected to the login HTML page. This could be due to incorrect login credentials. Then catch block. Catch block, a prepared statement is created for the second query. And the email parameter is set. The user's hash password is compared with the hash password provided by the user. If they match, the user is authenticated. The user is redirected to the index.jsp page if authentication is successful. Then forgot password JSP page. The code is meant to update user's password in the database based on the provided email address and new password. The code constructs an SQL update query to update the user's password in the database. The query specifies that the password column in the user table should be updated to the new hash password for the specified email. Execute the update query and the return value indicates the number of row affected by the update. Inside the HTML section, the code checks the value of A is greater than 0, it means password update was successful. The user is redirected to index HTML page. If password update failed, user redirect to forgot password JSP page. Let's see register JSP page. This line establish a database connection using the DB connector class, then retrieving input data from request parameter. F name, L name, email, password, address, and contact are extracted from the HTTP request parameters come from a user registration form. Here, use insert query. The return value represent the number of row affected. If a value is greater than 0, indicating the successful insert, the user is redirected to index HTML page, and a value is 0 or less, sent redirect to register JSP page. Let's see how cookies are working. This cookie is added. That's all about my part. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Navaneethan. My enroll number is UWU CST 110. My topic is a travel planner system, Group CST Group P, Web Application and Development, CST 243/3. Okay, first move to the source code. Is planner. First click the planner. This include the web page, remote file, source package, test package, library, test library, identification file. Okay, first click the web page. This web page include some photos, JPG file, and some HTML file, some JSP files. And after the click the remote file, click this includes some WhatsApp.js and CSS file and JavaScript files. And click the source code file. We create the classes. These classes include the tvconnected.java and md5.java, tip.java. After the click library, this add the mysql.jdbc library. Okay, my part is say login.jsp. This is a login. Sorry, my part is say index.jsp. This is a index.html file. First run. Uh, SAM control panel, Apache is started and MySQL is started. And after the run this file, uh, this is a login page. First, serialization. Okay. This email number, email, and password. First registration. After the same email and same password, and click sign in. Okay. This is a home page. This is the logo, and this is my name. First registration, input the first name. This is display. This is about. This is feedback and notification bell button. After the your plan and add this button is a add new trip. After the feedback and rating, this this website is different users are using. This user add some feedback and rating. This look here. These are included in database. Go to the source code. This is a HTML file. Is get some CSS code. Uh, this is body tag. Include the navigation bar. This include first div. Include the logo image. Is a logo.png. Is width is 50%. This is logo. After the login and registration and about us page, after this form in this page, after that this form is filled, some alert is successful. Look here, this is a index.jsp file. This includes some pages. First is test.html page. After the includes page is import.java.sql star. Is a old Java SQL. I import this, and after the import the class.tv connector. Already this one. This TV connector, this page include this page is TV connected. TV connected public class is TV connected. This include first is create the private final string. String is URL is JDBC MySQL. Local course is name is travel plan. Look here. This is a travel plan. And username is root, password null, Driver is a form.mysql.jdbc driver. This statement is connecting function is URL and DB user and password. This also to return is connect. This file is include the index.jsp and this file is these are some queries is first name, last name, username is include the cookies and these are include the bootstrap and JavaScript links. These are CSS code and this page is display the first name. First registration, input the first name. That name is display. This name. And that after click this button is sign out. This click is sign out. After the your plan is the particular customer create the plan is display the that homepage. This create plan is this plan is display this page. After the rating, after the copyright, this this include the index.asp file. Is logo. This is feedback and notification. This is attrib. This form is filled after the display displays and rating. Okay, thank you.
I am S.A.D.P.Jayasiri, UWU CST 20009. Now I explain how to add new trip. If you after log, you can display this page. Then you can you should add new trip button. After click add new trip button. Display like a form, planning details form. We can give a name for trip and choose a date like this and location. And I need camping items and hiking items and transport like this, and I choose accommodation. I left our resort, and you can see I change the accommodation price will change. Now I choose Alafavagan resort. Price is 8,000. Now I choose a time to go trip. I choose morning. Then I will put additional note like this. Then what this process is like this. This is a process form, planning form. This is a form. Its action go to planning process JSP. Planning process JSP. I create trip item ID like this IM, and I use a method get item ID. First, I create trip object in trip class. This is a trip class. I get some variables like this and get item ID a method like this. I get this query and return it how many items in the table and +1 in the return. Then automatically generate item ID like this IM001, IM002 like this. Same way to I get trip ID. I use again trip class to get trip ID. I get trip ID like this. The way to item ID. I get how many items, how many trip IDs in the table, and add plus. Then automatically trip ID was generate like TP001, TP002. Then plan name using get request get parameter in the form like this plan name. Parameter name is plan name. Other variables same way to get and store this. After I get a cost like this, hiking items, transport like, add the cost, and finally full budget is cost and accommodation price. This price is accommodation price. After this all saved to using constructor, go to trip class, save trip item ID, use ID, trip ID, plan name, plan date, etc. like this. Go to trip Java class. Then after save trip like this, I call save trip method. Then execute this query. After execute query, return a value to planning process JSP. Then if a greater than 0, save trips. I call again save plan. Save plan like this. It is go to item table and save all the details in item table. After save all the data in item table and trip table, page send direct index JSP again. Now you can see I will click the button. After add the trip in the trip plan page, name, title like this, and our we put note like this, and total budget display.
I'm Sankavi CST 2008. This is the admin panel of our website. Now we signed into this admin panel as admin 1. If we click the admin panel, it will show an sign out option. And these are the 3 admins of our website. And these are the 3 profiles of our website. If we click view profile, it will show the user profile in a separate page with detailed description of the user. And if we click delete profile, it will delete the user profile from the admin panel, and it will show the profile delete successfully. Then the deleted profile will disappear from the admin panel. This is all about content type. Content type in servlet is nothing but the format of data being sent by the web server to client as a response. The general format and also the default is text /HTML, that is either simple text or text with HTML text, right? And the content type should be right at the top of the JSP page. Here it is used to import java.sql packages to the JSP. And here we import DB connector class and trip class. This line creates an instance of class named DB connector. This class is responsible for handling the database connection, and this line calls the get connection method of DB connector instance to establish a database connection. The return object is an instance of connection class, which is part of JDBC API and is used to interact with database. And this line defines a SQL query string. The query is select statement that retrieves all columns from table named user. This line prepares a SQL statement for execution. It uses the previously established connection object to create a prepared instance. This line executes the prepared SQL statement and retrieves the result as the result set object. The execute query method is used for executing select queries. The return result set contains the rows of data that matches the query criteria. The fname1, lname1, user ID our variable is used to store first name, last name, user ID respectively, and it stores the value null, which means it doesn't currently hold any data. In this line, the request.getCookie method retrieves an array of cookies associated with the current HTTP request. Each cookie is represented as an element in the array. The array of cookie is assigned the variable CKS. The code first checks whether the CSK array is not null. If it is not null, it means that cookie was sent with the HTTP request. Inside the loop that iterates through each cookie of the CSK arrays, the code uses the getName method of the cookie object to get name of the current cookie. The code then checks if the cookie's name matches one of the expected cookie. cookie names, fname, lname, or user ID. If a match is found, the value of the corresponding cookie is retrieved using the getValue method of the cookie object, and respective variable is assigned that value. If the CKS array is found to be null, the code uses the response send redirect method to redirect the user to index.html page. This is an internal CSS of the admin panel. This set the background color to white. This line creates a bootstrap navigation bar, and this line creates a container div that holds the content of the navigation bar, and this line creates the navbar brand, which is typically a logo or the name of the website. And this line creates the drop-down button using Bootstrap drop-down component. And this code creates the drop-down menu that appears when the previously mentioned button is clicked. This code creates the navigation toggler button used for collapsing the navigation links on smaller screen. This code creates a collapsible container for navigation links. These are the navigation drop list items: about, feedback, and notification. This code iterates through the rows of result set obtained from a database query. For each row, it retrieves the value of the fname, lname, and user ID columns and assign them to corresponding variables. Additionally, the value of the user ID column is assigned to the variable num1. The purpose of this code may be to extract and store data from the result set for further use in ASP page or other processing. And this code snippet uses JavaScript to extract a query parameter from the URL and display a success message using the message. If the value of the success query parameter is 1, it will show successfully, user account was deleted, or success. This is the footer part for the admin panel, and these are the external JavaScript file added to the admin panel. This is all about the admin panel. Now we are going to go through the code part of profile.jsp. This code performs a database operation to retrieve user information from the user table based on the provided ID parameter. It is establish a connection, prepares and execute a parameterized select query, and stores the query results in a result set named RS. The RS object will contain the user data that corresponds to the provided ID. And this is the internal CSS of that profile page. And this code snippet using a while loop to iterate through the rows of the result set objects RS obtained from a database query. For each row, it iterates values from column like fname, lname, email address, and contact that assigns and assigns them to corresponding Java variables. These variables likely hold user-related information that can be used further in the JSP page for display or processing. These code snippets combine HTML and JSP to create a user profile display section. It includes an image, the user's full name, and the various user details such as first name, last name, address, phone number, and the email, all retrieved from the database and displayed in a structured format on a web page. The provided code snippet generates a set of social media icons with links. The exact context of how these icons are being used depends on the surrounding code and what conditions are checked within the JSP loops. Now we will go through the delete profile.jsp file. This code part performs a database operation to delete a user record based on the provided ID parameter. After the deletion, if any rows were affected, the user is redirected to the admin panel.jsp page with the success parameter. That's all about the profile.jsp part and delete profile.jsp part.
I'm R.M Nimesha Bandara and my enrollment number is CST 20029. I will explain the About Us page, feedback and notification pages. First, we will see the About Us page. This main tag, it contains and wrapped in a main element. Inside it, it has a heading H1 for the About Us title. The content of the About Us page is organizing using Bootstrap system and cards to create a responsive and visually appealing layout. Each card contains an image at the top and the card body with the title H2 and paragraphs for the content. The paragraph is styled using inline CSS to achieve the text justifications. Finally, at the bottom of the code, JavaScript dependencies are included as well as a custom JavaScript file called about us.js. Now let's see how it looks like. Then the feedback page. Here's the code. Inside the head section, various meta tags and titles of the pages are set. A link to an external CSS file named style.css is included to define the styling of the page. Then I added some inline CSS is used within the style tag. This CSS includes font import and defines styling for various elements on the page. Then in the body section, the page content is here. Then the div class container creates a centered container for the form. Inside the container, there's another div class called box form box, which styles the feedback form. Then this is the form header, and the form starts with the form tag and set the action to feedback.jsp using the action attribute. When the form is submitted, it will send data to the feedback.jsp file. Inside the form, there are several input fields for the user's name, feedback, and rating. Each input field is placed within a div class field input. which helps in styling and structuring the form. Labels are associated with each input using the for attribute, which matches the ID of the input element. The name attribute of the each input element determines how the data is sent when the form is submitted. Then a star rating system is implemented using POCSS. The rate class contains a series of radio inputs and associated labels for each star. The user can select star by clicking on its label. Then submit button. A submit button is included within a due class field container. The button is disabled if the user hasn't filled in all the required fields. The form action is set to feedback.jsp, which suggests that when the user submit the form, the data is sent to the JSP page for processing and storing in the database. This is the feedback.jsp file. This code handles the submission of the feedback form and inserts the data into the database. First, I import several necessary Java classes. These classes are required for database connectivity, SQL operations, and handling HTTP requests. Then the code retrieves cookies from the HTTP request using request.get cookies. It's looking for cookies name, def name, and user ID to retrieve the user's first name and the user ID. If cookies are found, if it stored the value in the fname and the username variables, user ID variable. If cookies are not found, the user is redirected to the index.html file. Then the DB connector class. DB connector class is used to establish a database connection using DB connector.get connection. The connection is stored in the con variable. Then the code retrieves the user's submitted feedback rating and comments using request.get parameter. These values are stored in the rating and comments variables. Then an SQL query is prepared to insert feedback data into the database. The insert into statement is used with placeholders for the user ID, rating, and comments. The prepared statement named PSTMT is created and the placeholders are set using PSTMT.setString. The query is executed using PSTMT execute query, execute update, and the result is stored in the this variable. If A is greater than 0, it indicates a successful insertion. The user is redirected to the index.jsp file and a success message is printed using out.println. If the insertion is fails, it means when A is not greater than 0, the user is redirected to the feedback.html file and the error message is printed. The other part is the HTML code. You can enter feedbacks like this. And rate, then submit, then it will go to the it will add to the bottom of the trip page, and it will also go to the database. As you can see, the feedback I sent is stored in this feedback table. So this is the notification.jsp file. The code begins with the several import statements, and similar to the previous code, the script retrieves cookies from the user's browser using request.get cookies. It gets user information like first name, last name, and user ID. If cookies are not found, if cookies are found, it stored the value in fname, lname, and user ID variables. If not, the user is redirected to the index.html file. Then the code calculates the different dates between the current date and the trip date fetched from the database. It uses local date and this function with this method for the calculation. Then other part is the HTML part, and it used to render the notification page. Then the notification card. Here inside a main element, it fetches notification from the database based on certain conditions. Now let's see the page. A notification card is displayed for each notification with information such as the user's image, name, and message. This is especially fetches notification from the database based on certain conditions such as the number of days since the trip date and display them on the page. The notifications are grouped and styled according to their read or unread status, and these messages are also stored in the database. Finally, as a whole, here is how our website works. When login, if user inputs the wrong password, it will show as an error message and password can be reset. After entering accurate information, user can access to the website. Then they can enter to the website and they can list trips like this. User can see details about our travel planner website and can rate us about our service. The first thing to do is to register to our site and they can log in at any time. So our website will provide a user-friendly interface and range of features to enhance the travel planning experience. So these are our group members. And this is the end of our presentation. Thank you for having patience.